everybody, and welcome to 31 Days of Indie Horror. And I am excited because I'm going to be chatting with my friend Elizabeth Fletcher. How you doing, Liz?
Hi, Jonathan. I'm good. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm really excited. So, of course, I had to pick a fun little project, that I saw. I saw it on Tubi, and I was like, "Oh, this would be fun for Liz to check out." And of course, I was right. The movie is called The Nurse, which is kind of a generic title, I guess, but kind of fits. I mean, killer nurse, deadly nurse, whatever, But I would have went with like a cooler title like the Deadly Nurse or something, but
Yeah.
you know, whatever. The Nurse. And basically this I did not realize. So this is in was indie horror, and this movie was pretty much a Lifetime film. I'm pretty sure. Um, if it wasn't, it was a Lifetime reject. Which I would be surprised about because it did have a pretty good cast.
Yeah.
Which I guess we can go into that real quick. That cast. First and foremost, Willa Ford in the film, which
Mercy.
were you a fan of Willa's, like her music?
I never listened to her music, honestly.
Oh, you didn't?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I knew like she had one really big hit song, and that's all I really knew of her. And then I saw she was in like I think Friday the 13th, the remake, and a few other things, but I don't really know her. Like if she does music, it's nothing I was like a fan of,
Right.
Um and then there's Bridget Branagh, which wonder if she's related to. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, but I wonder if she's related to Kenneth Branagh. Let's find out
Oh,
real quick.
that's a good question.
No, as it would probably pop up in the in her like info,
Right.
trivia related to Kenneth Branagh somewhere or another, So I don't know if that's even the right way to say the name. Then there,
Sounds right to me.
then there's John Hurd, who you might know from a little movie called Home Alone.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie.
So was it cool to see him in the movie?
It was interesting to see him a little older and a little heavier.
Well, sadly, he passed away a few years ago,
Oh,
and you didn't know that?
no.
Oh, yeah, a few years ago he passed away, and I had always been a fan since like Home Alone, but also, um, what is it? Sharknado.
I
Shark.
never saw that one.
You never saw Sharknado? He was in the first Sharknado. He had like a smaller part or whatever, and then I think that was like one of his last movies before he passed away.
Oh.
And then there's Costas Mandalore, who I told you before I met, at a horror convention. I have a great story. I met him in the elevator.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I didn't know who he was, right? Because I just most of the time when you see like celebrities out in the wild, you just don't recognize them,
Right.
Like every time I see them at horror conventions, I don't recognize them at first.
Yeah.
So I was in the elevator with him, and I looked over and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "You going down to the convention?" He's like, "Yep, I got a table there." And I was like, "Oh, great. I should be going over there. What's your name?" And he goes, "Costas." I'm like, I knew exactly who he was when he said that. I was like, "Oh my god. Oh, hi." And so we started chatting, and he took a picture with me, or whatever, like later, at his table. He's super nice guy. I actually want to take a picture with a celebrity in an elevator once. Be like, "Hey, can we get a picture?" That would, I don't know, that might be a little awkward.
I don't
And
think it I wouldn't be bothered if somebody asked me to take a selfie.
right? Well, I mean, honestly, yeah, I wouldn't care as long as like if they knew who I was, I'd be like, "All right, let's go, let's take a selfie." And then next is Jack Noseworthy, who I know, like I've every time I see him, I know him, like he's been in
Yeah.
a lot of films and everything. And this is gonna sound really mean, but it's because of his nose.
Oh my.
He actually is noseworthy,
Yeah.
just like his last name. Um, but he no, I always recognize him. I'm like, oh man, it's that guy. I've seen him in like he's been in a lot of movies.
Mhm.
So then there I think those are the main people, but um Gregory was played by TJ Hoban, and that was the what is it, like the physical trainer guy.
Oh,
And then David Milburn played John, the boss that's apparently in AA, but they've like totally broke his anonymity and
oh yeah.
everything. And I mean that girl wanted to get everybody drunk, like no matter what, Or she just kept saying one won't hurt you, and I'm like, do you know anything about alcoholics? Jesus Christ. So
She
yeah,
doesn't care.
yeah, she doesn't care. She's a killer. I mean, well, we find out a little bit more about her backstory at the end.
It was
Uh,
kind of to me, the end.
the end shocked you?
Yeah, finding out her story and why she did what she did.
Well, I was kind of hoping that we would get something like that,
Yeah.
because I was like, otherwise she's just some crazy bitch who's just trying to kill everybody.
That's what I thought.
Really? The whole time? I
Just a burned out nurse who finally went psycho and hated men.
wow.
Not
You don't know any of those, do you?
personally.
Are we allowed to say that at all, or do you not want me to mention the real reason I asked you to be on the show?
What's that? Just tell me.
Because you're a nurse. I was like, I said, oh, it's a movie about a nurse, and you are
I
actually a nurse.
understand the burned out part, but I would never kill anybody.
She's like, put that up as the disclaimer. I will not kill anybody. I promise. But yeah, no, she I don't think she wasn't even a burned out nurse. She wasn't even a nurse. She wasn't,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
right. She was a total fraud.
yeah, which was like, okay. So so that brings me to a question that I want to know from you. Because the physical therapist, was from the nursing group or whatever, nursing staff, I guess, or whatever. Remember, he gave the card that said
Mhm.
the nurse, right? So, and he didn't recognize her at all. It didn't seem,
Right.
like and so he had he already had a bad feeling about her. Then later on, he comes back and tells them that, they're missing certain medications or whatever. Why didn't he look in and ask, like from the very beginning, like, who is this chick? Like, does anybody know her? And they're like, oh,
Right.
that's, was it Lucy Lynn or something like that, or whatever. What was her name? Ling Lu. Because remember, Ling Lu died in the
Oh,
beginning of the movie. Yeah.
right.
So she was the one who was supposed to take over, I guess. It all seemed kind of weird. Like, how did she know from the very beginning that chick was going to be the one that went to that guy's house? And I mean, there's just so many questions that come to mind.
So she probably has connections, maybe. Like maybe she knows somebody in the group. I mean, because she obviously gets around and is very manipulative. But one of the things I was thinking of is that she does have some kind of medical or nursing background. Like maybe she went to nursing school, because there's that one point where she paralyzes the physical therapist and she says something about succinylcholine. And I was like, wow, she said that right on, which is
Okay.
used to paralyze you when they get ready to intubate you. So she's got some kind of background. Maybe a failed nursing school student or something.
Well, she also said a couple things that I wanted to find out from you. She said one thing that I was like, all right, I'm going to ask Liz about this in a second. um, so when she, like, there's that one point where she was like, I didn't know you were a therapist. And she was like, I didn't know you were a hypnotist. And then she said, how'd you stop him? And she said this exactly. I disrupted his self-importance and rejected his intimidation. Tricks you learn when you become a caregiver. Did you ever learn how to disrupt somebody's self-importance and reject their intimidation?
I might have missed that class day.
Maybe you should see if you can learn that in the caregiver school.
You do have to learn how to become somewhat persuasive, I would say, because people, so you'll come across a lot of angry people.
I'm sure.
So
they're
you
not happy.
Learn how to de-escalate situations. You get a lot of people who are non-compliant with their own medical care, like they're just not taking care of their diseases like they should. So you can, use some persuasion, which probably won't work anyway. But the whole mind games thing, that was a little weird. That's not a nursing thing.
Really, like that was so funny though. She was just like, as if like that was a real trick that you learn or
it was
something.
so cheesy.
I wonder if the writer of this film actually did
Said
any,
out loud.
What?
Said the words out loud before writing.
No, because like obviously they wrote that as a as a way for, because at that particular time, Costas Mandalore's character was like very like raising his voice. He was very scary, and then so she came in and basically scared him off. It was almost as if like she was the wolf leader, and it's scared off one of the whatever, you know what I mean, like she was able to do that, which was nuts. I thought that was one of the best scenes. And especially when she explains that, because I was like, that's not that can't be right, that not at all. Okay, so the other thing I noticed, and this comes from my notes, I also noticed something that really bothered me in the movie, that I was like, how did they miss this? So Jack Noseworthy, or whatever his character's name, the husband, is having dinner with the father and the nurse, right? And the wolf comes in, and the father says, "Oh, this is the best wine," right? And she's like, "You can't give him wine. He's an alcoholic," right? And then the husband looks at her and goes, "Yeah, what are you doing?" And I was like, and he didn't even say like as a joke or anything. He was saying like as if he never noticed right next to him that his father-in-law, was drinking alcohol. Like he knew it. And like, I don't know how they missed that, because like literally, if that were the case, the father-in-law or the husband would have told the father-in-law, hey, or the but they set it up in that scene so that the woman would come in and say that. It was just really poorly done, because who doesn't, like, even writing it, the writer should have looked at that and go, wait, that's wrong. Like, how does that? No, like, unless they fix that in like actually when they were directing, they changed that around or something. But that just didn't make any sense, did it? Like, to you? Like,
right. No, I see what you're saying. Like the husband totally would have stopped him or said something, or
before the wife would have even came into the room. So, like right when she's about to pour it, to him or something, or give him, he would have said, "Hey, whoa, he's an alcoholic. but instead he didn't say anything, didn't even notice, it didn't seem, that, because he was drinking wine, she was drinking wine. Apparently he was drinking, the father was drinking wine too. So I it's like that was a poorly done scene. I don't know how they screwed that up. And the other thing I laughed at was that at the end, when they were like, the cops came and everything, nobody goes up to a cop and says, what is it? He shakes his hand and says, "Get home safely," to a cop. Like,
Yeah.
that that made me crack up. I was like, no, that was
Goofy.
just, that was goofy. And the funniest thing about that was, it wasn't supposed to be goofy,
Right.
like, it was supposed to look like a real scene. And I'm just
Right.
like, no, like, what would have happened is the cops would have just left. And like, the way they should have done it was the cops just would have left, and they didn't even need him there,
Right.
like, it was, it would have been funnier if he was like slipping the cop like some money when he was shaking his hand, you know, just forget you forget you were here, you know, um, because I mean, that was, I don't know, like, there is there would be a lot, there would have been a detective or somebody there that would have asked a lot more questions. Like,
Right.
that was not
Oh,
a
yeah. Have a whole team there roping stuff off and
talking to people. I mean, they made it look like it was literally in and out, and I'm like, no, 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 no. They would be investigating. This
right.
isn't, her trying to save him. That's not necessarily self-defense. There's, she literally, and I think she killed the guy, right?
Yeah, sure, because if you're paralyzed, you can't breathe.
Right. So she
Yeah,
killed.
that like paralyzes your whole body.
Oh, I'm talking about the was it the therapy guy? The
Yeah.
not the
Wow.
physical therapy guy, but the
Oh, the other guy.
yeah, the other guy that came in, and she ran after him, grabbed his thing, like started, knocked him in the
Right.
nuts, and then stabbed him in the heart or whatever, chest or something.
Right.
Pretty sure she just killed the dude. Like,
Yeah.
cops would be, and on top of that, when when they come to investigate the house at the end of the movie, they'd be like asking more questions. Why is there another guy dead? Like, I don't,
Right.
is it necessarily going to be this, I mean, whatever, like, this
Maybe that
crazy.
sort of happens all the time in that town and they just don't have the resources.
I thought it was like LA, so maybe, I figure it was LA that it was at,
Could
so
have been, yeah.
they don't have the resources in LA because they're so fucking busy with other shit, But
Yeah.
murder is a big deal, like, especially,
Yeah.
and then he just kind of let the old lady died, got killed, and
Right.
obviously it was by the nurse, and they were just like, oh yeah, that guy must have done it. I'm like, who just assumes that shit? Like, there's, like, you have a woman in your house that you never met before now, like, and now people are dropping dead. There's something very
Right.
suspicious about this, I don't know. All in all, did you have a good time watching it when you were watching it?
I did. It was not the best movie ever, but it wasn't the worst one I've watched either.
You watched a few of the worst ones here too, so like, I think I gave you one that's a little easier to watch them. Once again, I think it's because it's got that lifetimey vibe to it.
Mhm.
If it wasn't made for Lifetime, it was, something that I'm sure Lifetime did eventually air, because
Right.
if you notice that also they had like the scenes where they would cut, and then they would come back, and it just felt like that scene was like gonna go to commercial, and then they'll come back and everything. And um watching on Tubi is just a little weird because not everything is set up like that.
Yeah.
I wish they would have done that, but I don't know how Tubi works, when they do their commercials, you know? By the way,
Right.
if you guys want to see this movie, you can watch it on Tubi. It's
I
available.
love,
You love
except
Tubi?
for the commercials, they're annoying.
Well,
But
actually, I kind of like the commercials. Because there's only like usually 5 ads, or
right,
whatever, and there's only usually like maybe 2 or 3 of that, depending on how long the movie is. And on top of that, it reminds me of old days when I used to watch, you know, uh, when I used to watch TV, and I'd have to watch a movie and I'd have to watch it in chunks because
mm,
I'd have to watch the commercials.
right,
So it's always okay to me. It kind of reminds me, because makes me all feel all warm and fuzzy because nowadays it's just so simple to just watch a movie, you know, and then it's done. And then you're like, all right, what's the next? Like,
right,
I feel like that's the world we live in now. It's just like, let me watch this movie. Okay, I'm done with that. Let me watch this show. I'm gonna watch a whole season of the show. You know what I mean? It's just
right.
a little, I don't know, a little too much to me. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, I really enjoyed watching The Nurse. I was pleasantly surprised, you know. Um I think it's one of the few, you know, it's not the best one I've seen on 31 Days of Indie Horror yet, but it's not terrible. The acting was a little silly and cheesy,
Yeah.
you know. But that's a lot of that has to do with writing, it's not the actor's fault. But like I I don't know, like so many things just felt like too coincident too like there was too many questions too. Like the boss, you know? The boss knew the father from AA, right? But
Right.
he said he just knew him a little bit. Then why did he invite the husband, to like work
Yeah.
for him like that? Like,
I don't think that question ever got answered or explained really well.
right. And then the boss was just a weird horn dog when he
Mm.
saw her and everything. I was just like, this is just weird, you know? I was like, he's already going, oh, that's my future ex-wife there. And I'm like, dude, you literally just saw this chick and you're saying that
Right.
to your employee. And the worst part is he wasn't a scumbag like normally. He's just a scumbag then, or whatever. Like it was just strange. Like kind of characters kind of changed a bit, or whatever. Um and then on top of that, her reaction to him when he found out, she was like, I guess she was showering in their shower or whatever. And
Right.
so what?
Right.
The nurse. And then she comes up and she tries to like hit on him or whatever. I'm just like, where did this come from? Like she wasn't ever acting like she was interested in him or that he was interested in her, you know? Like there was nothing like that. And now all of a sudden you're doing this just to get yourself, was it getting
I,
herself out of trouble?
I think she hates men and just wanted to destroy any man that she could.
And do you think she hated men because of her relationship with her father, who we
Yeah.
find out later had left her?
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Well, which is,
That's professional opinion.
yeah. I mean, I I don't know. I would have loved to see the characters a little bit more developed. Um, I feel like that was the biggest problem with this movie is, and especially with Willa Ford's character, you really don't get to know her until like you find out her backstory at the end, but you don't really get to like know her at all, So
Right.
it's like she's sort of like a boring villain, you know, and stuff, in my opinion. But I think she did a good job though, as good of a job as she could, given I think the silly writing of it. Um, who's your favorite character in it?
I liked the therapist.
Oh, you liked her a lot.
Yeah.
I thought she was really sweet.
She was a pretty strong female character, I thought. She
Yeah,
held her end.
and she was probably the most developed of all of them because
Yeah,
I think they spent a lot more time with her, of course, because she's the lead. You know,
right.
even though Willow Ford I think is billed before her, she was more the lead, and I really liked her. Um, she was yeah, Bridget Branna, and I you know what, I would love to see more stuff with her in it. Apparently, she was in a one episode of The Good Doctor. I mean, she
Oh,
does a lot of TV. What?
I love that show.
Yeah. She was in Runaways. Whoa. Was she one of the leads in Runaways? She was in 33 episodes. Hmm. Wait, how's that possible? Anyway, she was in Runaways. She was in a ton of shows, so good for her. Like she's continuing to get work. Um, she was probably one of the more professionals. Oh, she was in Supernatural. Cool. In season 11. I love that show. It's one of my favorites. So I'll have to look. I don't season 11. I don't even remember which season that was necessarily. It's one of the newer ones. I think yeah, because they went up to season 15 on that show. Holy
Oh,
cow!
wow.
Yeah, you don't watch that show, do you?
I haven't watched it before.
Yeah, you should. It's really good.
Everybody says it's really good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. So, yeah, but yeah, it was great to see this. Her she was in Army Wives. Huh?
Hmm.
Never watched that show either. She was in a ton of stuff, so good for her. She's continuing to work. And this movie was a pretty good one for her to be in. Because it definitely helped like set her apart from everybody, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend this movie if you're into like Lifetime films or films of that nature, that stuff. I mean, this is definitely not a horror movie, you know. But I would say more a thriller, you know.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, which I mean, it's funny because so far on this 31 days of indie horror, I've done two movies. One that was kind of more of a sci-fi movie and not really as much of a horror, but it did have a little horror elements. And this one is a
Yeah.
thriller that has a little horror elements, I guess, but wasn't really a horror film, I don't think.
I don't
Um,
know. Was sticking that needle in the dad's leg over and over.
that's
It's disturbing.
it was disturbing,
All
and
right.
it does sort of set up like a horror film. Like in the beginning of the movie, you don't see her face, you don't see who she is, and and then later you find out all the information. So it does sort of set up like a slasher, but really the people don't start dying till I guess I guess once she gives that guy the alcohol and the wine and sends him on his way. Okay, so if she's in the car with him and he goes, I'm an alcoholic, I don't drink, whatever, right? And she's like, oh, one won't kill you, right? You know, don't don't drink one before you're about to drive. Like, period. Like that's just that was just terrible, you know? And he should have known better. Like, yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Nope.
So I think he was thinking with his downstairs brain.
Well, I know that. No, I know that. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, it's not like she went home with him or anything, you know? Like, see, that's what should have happened. Is she said, hey, do you want to hang, whatever. So they go to his house, and then maybe they just didn't have enough money to pay for another house. I don't know, whatever. But like they had the scene where she's driving and he drives off the fucking cliff, I guess. I don't know. You don't really see exactly. You kind of see like, oh God, he's
Yeah,
probably
she
dead.
drugged something.
Yeah, she drugged him with something, which she did say at the end they were missing some other stuff, so maybe that was one of the other things. I don't know, because I don't know anything about drugs. You probably know more about those things than I would because of your
I do have
profession.
knowledge about medications. Yes.
No, that's good. That's good. I would hope. You may not know. You may not know. How to stop intimidation or what. I'm gonna keep saying this there. Disrupt somebody's self-importance or reject their intimidation. That's something I feel like everybody should learn. Good God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe that should be taught in.
I'm gonna Google it tomorrow and figure out how to do it.
Because we all need that in life, man. If somebody is trying to be self-important, we need to disrupt it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if somebody's trying to intimidate us, we need to, reject their intimidation. The world. I could see this guy, the writer, Googling these things up and going, what should I say? Okay, you know what? We're gonna disrupt his self. She disrupted his self-importance. All right, that sounds like something they would teach you in caregiver class. All right, and then and reject, because like literally, she says the tricks you learn when you become a caregiver. And we heard it here that you didn't learn that in those classes. So,
like I said, maybe I missed that class or something.
if you go back to work tomorrow or something, sometime soon, whenever you do, ask them about that. Did I miss that class? See if somebody can teach you if they learned it.
Gosh, so funny.
Well, anyway, thank you so much for this. This was a fun episode. And honestly, I keep want to call it Killer Nurse because like the nurse just sounds so boring.
Right.
When I picked it because it said nurse, right? And I was like, the nurse. Okay, this sounds like it'd be a scary movie, about a nurse, kind of like, you ever heard of that movie Dr. Giggles?
No.
Yeah, it's about a killer doctor,
what we're gonna next.
Is that what do you want to watch that next?
Sure.
All right. Well, soon we'll have you back for Dr. Giggles, which I've never actually seen. I've just heard of, I just know it's about a killer doctor. I've never seen it.
Film you've never seen?
I didn't see this one either.
What?
I literally finished it right before this podcast, know.
So, I think this was last week, and so I was watching it, I think on Sunday or Monday. But it stayed fresh in my mind.
Well, that's good. Actually, it's really good that actually stayed fresh in your mind, because it is one of those movies that I hate to say it, like it's like it's fun to watch at the time, but I would imagine it would just kind of disappear,
Mm-hmm.
because like, well, especially with me, because I'm constantly watching like a million other movies, so I'm not really, like I don't have time to like.
Right.
I might remember some of the things, but that's why I like these podcasts, and I can look back and be like, oh yeah, I did watch that, didn't I? But let's I don't know, I want to see Dr. Giggles. I want to see, there's a ton of movies I want to see still. I just haven't. I wonder if that's on Tubi, because there's a lot of movies on Tubi. Tubi, other than the commercials, is amazing.
Right. No, I love Tubi.
And best way for me to, nope, does not look like Dr. Giggles is on there. Oh, sad.
It's a bummer.
It's somewhere, I'm sure. I know I own it, like I have a DVD of it somewhere. I just have way too many DVDs. Oh, it's on Stars. Okay, I've got Stars. I could watch Doctor. You don't have Stars, do you? Oh, I'm
I don't,
sorry.
I don't watch a lot of TV or movies, honestly.
You don't have time.
I
You're
really don't no time at
you're
all.
you're working. You're being a mother, and you're acting all the time.
Yeah.
By the way, congratulations on like the 20 gigs that you've worked on this past like couple of weeks. That's awesome.
Here I cut back on my days at work and I was like, oh, finally I'll have days off. And then as soon as I did that on my days off, I'm filming stuff. And June is going to be so crazy busy. But this coming weekend, I don't have my kids and I don't have to work and I have nothing planned. I am not going to do anything.
You're just gonna like lay down and just
I'm going to sit on the couch and do
you're gonna watch Dr. Giggles. That's what you're gonna do.
what I need to do. Binge watch a bunch of crap.
Oh man. Yeah, well, there you go. I love that. Like sadly, like that's all I do all day is watch the movies or I mean I plan for my own movies or whatever.
Right.
And like you would think, oh man, that sounds like the life, but
Kind
it's
of does.
it does, but it doesn't. Like it is, but it isn't because it is a lot of work. So there's a lot going on, and so you get burned out pretty easily. So I get it with you with oh man, I need to cut back on work. Oh man, now I don't have anything to do. I can just relax. And I can't do that. I'm like programmed and wired to like even on my days of like relaxing, I'm still like thinking about things or I'm doing things or I'm working on a project that I forgot that I needed to finish, coming up. You know what I mean? Like there's always something. I can't just do nothing, you know. It would probably drive me nuts because I'd be bored, you know.
I don't ever do it. So that's why it sounds so appealing to me right now.
You never just chill out.
No, never. I don't remember the last time I had a weekend where I didn't have something going on. So
Ah,
I'm
yeah, it's probably true because you're always working. So, and I mean, that's not a bad thing to always be working, I mean,
yeah, but I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for all the stuff I've been getting.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to,
Absolutely. Anything for you.
oh, stop, you know. Uh whatever that is. This is like a fly, like I don't know, whatever. Thank you so much. It's always an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, and I
Yeah,
can't wait to
me.
have you back again, which I'm sure will be soon enough. Dr. Giggles will have to be it.
It goes, here we come.
I know, right? Okay, well, thank you, and is there anything you'd like to talk about real quick? I mean, this is going to be in October, so you know,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it's 31 days of NDR, so it's got to be October that this comes out. Do you think you'll have like things? Well, I guess you'll have plenty of things to talk about, and probably by the time we do this, you'll have like plenty more.
So I'm praying that by the time this comes out, then that the feature film that I'm doing in Atlanta will have been picked up.
Okay, can you say what it is, or
It's a comedy. It's a feature film. It's a comedy. It's called The Devil Comes Dressed for Church too. It's it's
two
pretty
like this? Is the sequel, or is it two as
no
in?
TOO as in
Okay.
also.
Okay, I'm just making sure because the way you said it, I mean, it could be the devil comes dressed for church part two. I mean, I don't know. Or if there is a sequel to that, would it be the devil comes to church part two or two part two or two 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 two? That's even funnier. The Devil Comes to Church tutu. I don't know if you're. I don't know if you. Well, if it's a comedy, I'm hoping that the director and writers and everybody laugh at that.
I hope so. I like to think so.
I would like to think so too. But yeah, it's been an interesting and amazing uh
Where are you going?
what?
Where are you going with this?
It's been amazing, awesome time having you on the show, like period, like all the shows that we've done so far. So really appreciate it, and I appreciate you coming out and doing this. And I hope I can't wait to see everything you're because by the time this comes out, all the shorts that you've been working on, everything should be out. And plus you'll have more coming, because
Right.
you're always constantly working. You said June is busy, so I'm guessing that's busy with film stuff.
I gotta just take it day by day. It's all stuff, and I'm so thankful for it all. I'm just
well, good. I'm glad I'm glad you're constantly working. So thank you. And we'll have you join us for another one. Until then, everybody, bye.
Bye.
All right, that was the first time I ever heard that. All right.
That was that.
You heard that too?
Yeah, it popped up on my phone.
Scared the shit out of me.
I bought the iPhone 12, so I wonder if that has something to do with it.
I don't know, but it just told me recording in progress, and I'm like, all right. Well, hey everybody, that's going to be an outtake.